Hey guys, Rorius here. Welcome back to Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney. Where it's the final, it's gotta be the final court seating. This is the third, episode of courtroom stuff in a row. Now then, will the defendant, Miss Lana Skye, please take the stand? We brought Lana out because we are going to get the truth out of her. If Gant won't give us the truth, then we'll get it out of Lana. Miss Lana Skye, you're the chief prosecutor. I'm sure you're aware of what is required of you. But Mr. Edgeworth, you already know everything. You know all that I've done these past 2 years. Please provide the court with your testimony, Miss Skye. And remember, you are under oath. We want to hear the truth. Of course, the truth. Lana, no matter what happens, I'll always be your sister. Now then, your testimony if you will. First, tell us about your relationship with Chief Gant. Everything hinges on your testimony. You're the only chance we have to get Gant. Get good Gant. Get goddamn Gant. I don't know why get Gant. It's like, it just reminds me of get good or get gone. Gant and the Fabrication. I worked alongside Gant for years. There's no truth to this blackmail theory. I fabricated the evidence 2 years ago all by myself. When I found Prosecutor Marshall's body, I rearranged the crime scene. My only motivation was to get Dark convicted. It had nothing to do with Emma. Are you sure about this testimony? Your Honor, I'm confessing to a capital offense. Of course I'm sure. But Lana! If this is true, then that means Chief Gant has nothing to do with this. That's what I've been telling you from the beginning. Please, Mr. Wright, you've got to help her. She's sacrificing herself because of me. But what if she's telling the truth? She's not. I know my own sister. Whenever she speaks stiffly like that, she's hiding something inside. Deep down, she's really screaming in agony. Yeah, this is no time to start second-guessing myself. The defense now begin its cross-examination. Gant and the Fabrication. Okay. How many years exactly? Ever since I made senior detective. Let's see, I was 24 then, so that would be 5 years. Detective Gant and Detective Skye were legendary partners. I personally saw them testify in numerous cases. She must have been good coming from the same school as Mia. Damon Gant was a respectable detective. That's why. There's no truth behind this blackmail theory. But think about it, Miss Skye. You didn't murder Detective Goodman. You told me as much yesterday in jail. You still don't get it, do you, Mr. Wright? Any testimony you cannot present in court is as useless as idle gossip. Yeah. I stabbed Detective Goodman with a knife. And I fabricated the evidence 2 years ago all by myself. Did you do so to help your sister? Joe Dark was a serial killer. My sister almost became his last victim that day. I didn't want that intent to ruin her life. But what she did is justifiable self-defense. She wouldn't have been charged with anything. That's not the point. She was traumatized that day all because of that creep. That's why I couldn't forgive him. Lana! So that's why you fabricated the evidence 2 years ago. When I found Prosecutor Marshall's body, I rearranged the crime scene. You say you did this all by yourself? Yes. Would you mind telling us what you found when you arrived at the crime scene? It seems I was the first person to discover the scene. The broken Prosecutor Award knife was stuck in the victim's body. The broken Prosecutor Award knife is stuck in the victim's body. What? But Prosecutor Marshall died from an unfortunate accident. That's only a situation you dreamed was possible. The reality is, it wasn't my sister who took the prosecutor's life. Fantasize all you want, Mr. Wright, but I'll never change the statement. You mean, Prosecutor Marshall wound up being killed by Dark? Something like that. If that's so, what happened to the other murder weapon? Dark was carrying a switchblade knife. Oh, that was lying on the floor a little distance away. It was probably knocked away in the struggle. That's not how it went down. She's trying to cover up her lies with more lies. All just to protect me! So, when you found the scene like this, what did you do? After all, this is what everything boils down to. Yes. Broke off the tip of Dark's knife, planted it inside the body wound, then moved the body. You planted the tip of Dark's knife in the victim's wound, and then you moved the body? But why? Why would you do that? You of all people should know, Edgeworth. You've always had a good head on your shoulders. My head isn't that bad, but maybe I ought to ask for the sake of others. Why did you move the body? When you showed up on the scene, where exactly was the victim's body? It was where you deduced it was, by Chief Gant's desk. But the body was found by your desk. I'm gonna alter Lana's voice a little because it's too close to Edgeworth's. Why did you move it there? The reason for that is simple. Let's have the witness explain this in more detail. The reason Miss Sky moved the body. The pieces of the jar that shattered during the events threatened my plan. Only motivation was to get Dark convicted. Okay, wait. Pieces of the jar, you mean... Yes, that wretched jar you showed us earlier. In order to show that Dark committed the crime, I felt it would be more expedient to move the body. So, when you first found the body, the jar was already... Of course, it had been shattered to pieces. If you looked at the crime scene, it would be clear right away what happened. Neil Marshall was dead and Dark was lying unconscious. In other words, the jar must have been broken during their struggle. I bet it wasn't. I see. What's the matter, Emma? Apparently the jar shattered at the time the crime was committed. But I have a feeling there's more to it than that. There must be a contradiction here somewhere. Anyway, I committed this fabrication completely alone. Okay, let's just push this. So you rearranged the crime scene. Are you sure you didn't do this to keep Emma from looking like the murderer? How many times do I have to tell you, Mr. Wright? Emma didn't do it, period. Are you so desperate to hide that fact? You're willing to risk the death sentence? She's lying! She did it so I wouldn't be blamed for what happened. In any case, as a prosecutor, what I've done is unpardonable. There's nothing I can do to make up for my actions. Mr. Wright, my sister's lying. Looks like she's determined to protect you. Looks like she's determined to protect you to the end. She insists she fabricated the evidence by herself. There's no way she could have done it alone. I've got to get Lana to talk more. If she's lying, then she's bound to slip up and make a contradiction. I'm going to present this. I should save it. Because the fact that he wrote Emma on it in blood means that it was after the struggle, it was still intact. Yeah, there we go. Good. Miss Sky, I understand how you feel. You committed that crime 2 years ago to protect your sister. You mean the forgery at the scene where Neil Marshall was murdered? If that truth were to be exposed now, the past 2 years of your life will have been in vain. Even so, I am compelled to bring to everyone's attention a significant contradiction within your testimony. A contradiction in my testimony? You testified, and I quote, "The pieces of the jar that shattered during the events threatened my plan." That's right. Do you have a problem with that? It's a simple oversight, really. You see, a message was written on this jar with the victim's blood. Yes, the prosecutor must have written it in his final moments. Exactly so. And this is where the contradiction lies. In order for the victim to be able to write his message on the jar, it must not have yet been broken before he died. Ah. He couldn't have written Emma's name on a shattered jar. Order, order! Your Honor, it would appear more information is needed in regards to this jar and its bloody message. We may be missing something critical here. Something critical? Chief Prosecutor, it seems you're as in the dark as we are, about the truth towards which we're headed. What? Just tell us exactly what you saw. We'll piece together the information and to arrive at the truth. Very well, the witness may now continue her testimony. Jar and message in blood. I immediately noticed the blood traces on the jar. But it was dark in the room, and I didn't have time to check it out. To be safe, I wiped away the blood. The fragments were large, so I'm sure I got all of them. All I can think about was, okay, well right there, she's already made a contradiction. All I could think about was wiping them clean before they were discovered. You mean you were the one who wiped away the message in blood? I wasn't chief prosecutor at the time. She didn't think Dark was the real murderer. That's why she tried to erase the real evidence. Yeah, I'm also starting to wonder if Dark was actually the killer after all. Very well, the defense may now begin its cross-examination. Okay. I'll parse everything, but I've immediately seen a contradiction. Okay. So the jar was already broken. It's a miracle that thing hadn't broken earlier. It certainly looks as feasible as the defense's case. This is about as feeble, sorry, as the defense's case, but not as feeble as the judge's judgment. You were the ace detective who never missed a detail. Do you really expect us to believe you didn't investigate what was written on the jar pieces? Normally I would have. But it was dark in the room and I didn't have time to check it out. So you didn't know your sister's name was written on the jar? No. If I had known, I would have gathered all the pieces and ground them to dust. Well, that helps my case. Lana, you'd do that for me? It seems you two might make up yet. Anyway, I just barely had enough time to move the body as it was. If someone happened upon the scene, you'd lose your chance to erase the evidence. You must have been in a hurry. I was. I keep forgetting to do a more feminine voice for her. I was. I knew I had to destroy the evidence before anyone came. This is rather shocking. This is all rather shocking. To be safe, I wiped away the blood. I'm afraid this action of yours reveals what really happened. What do you mean? If you really thought Dark killed Prosecutor Marshall, you wouldn't have wiped away the blood. What else could I have done in that situation? Lana! I only had a few moments. There wasn't enough time for me to do anything else but gather up the pieces. The fragments were large, so I'm sure I got all of them. But how could you see with the power out? It should have been pitch black in that office. A detective is always prepared, Mr. Wright. Even now, I always carry a pocket light and a camera with me. Even I carry a bottle with emergency luminol wherever I go. I never miss anything. I got every last piece. Not true. All I could think about was wiping them clean before they were discovered. So you illegally rearranged the crime scene. Yes. I don't have any excuse for my actions. I'm so sorry, Lana. I didn't know. I've treated you so badly all this time. It's not too late. There's still plenty of time to make up. After we've gotten to the bottom of this incident. No doubt this day will leave a permanent stain on the history of the prosecutor's office. More contradictions have surfaced in her testimony. Your sister really putting up a fight. She must really care about you. Still, she's not doing this the right way. I think I've finally figured out the contradictions in her testimony. There's one final possibility that might turn everything around. How do can I present this? Wait, let's just save it. Because there was a piece she didn't get, and she hadn't wiped. Yeah, okay, good. Miss Sky, I believe this jar conceals the truth even you were unaware of. What? We found the final piece of this jar in Chief Gant's safe. In the chief's safe? But how? I knew it. She really didn't know. There's something even more disturbing about that final piece. There was still blood on it. But the witness just testified that she gathered every last piece and wiped the blood off them. Yes, which leaves us with only one explanation. On the night Prosecutor Marshall was murdered, you were not the first one to show up on the scene. Chief Gant got there before you. Yeah, this is exactly what I was like thinking. I was like, because Marshall and Gant were both checking. Ugh, yeah. I thought it was odd. But couldn't the defendant have simply missed a piece? I'm afraid that's unlikely. The pieces are too big for anyone to miss, let alone an ace detective. That may well be, but everyone makes mistakes. Even I once wasted an entire day looking for my dentures. They were in my mouth all along. Can you believe that? Have you forgotten, Your Honor? When this witness arrived at the scene, the jar was already broken. Oh, that! There's no way a name could have been written on a shattered jar. Another person discovered the scene prior to the witness. I hope you're not implying this person was Chief Gant. At the time, he was looking for Dark downstairs. Besides, even if he was there first, why would he break the jar? The question is, if he did arrive there first, why did he hide the fact for 2 years? Well, Your Honor, can you answer that? Pressing the... no! Yeah. I like that we questioned the judge. Wait, I'm not the one on trial here. Damon Gant arrived at the crime scene prior to the witness. He proceeded to break the jar and purposefully hid one of the broken pieces. Question: what is this action called? Fabrication of evidence. But why would Chief Gant do that? In light of what happened afterwards, isn't it clear? What happened afterwards? Discovering the scene, Lana Skye believed her sister Emma killed the victim. Determined to help her sister, she sought Gant's aid. Lending her this aid, Gant helped her create evidence that incriminated Dark, sparing Emma, and therein lies the reason. The reason why Miss Skye became the chief's puppet. She drew blood just then, and she bit her thumb. No, I did it all on my own. Please, sis, stop trying to protect the chief. I can't watch you suffer anymore, for my sake. No, you didn't. It wasn't you, Emma. You didn't kill anyone. Don't believe anything Mr. Wright says. Defense attorneys make up their most foul lies to defend their clients. Foul lies? Imagine that, coming from my own client. I guess you do seem the type who likes to twist the truth. Excuse me? Wait a minute. What if we're still smack dab in the middle of Gant's trap? I was wondering about this. I have a feeling it was actually, like, I've said this before, I said this ages ago, but I've been being led on for a little while. I was so curious if Gant made it look like Emma was the one who killed Marshall so that he could use her. Is something wrong, Mr. Wright? Lana, maybe right after all. What do you mean, Wright? So you do tell foul lies then, Mr. Wright? Miss Skye, please testify once more. But if evidence was fabricated behind your back, then Emma's accidental killing of Prosecutor Marshall might also be a lie. But I do remember knocking over Mr. Marshall. Miss Skye, if you will. This might actually change Lana's actions a little. This might twist her actions. I can't. There's nothing to be afraid of anymore. This cross-examination may not change a thing. However, there's a possibility that it will, if you tell the truth. Yeah. Very well. I'll testify about what I really saw. All right, the witness may testify once more for the final time. Please let it be the final time. Actual crime scene. There we go. Yes. When I arrived, I found Mr. Marshall's body impaled on that suit of armor's sword. Emma and Dark were lying unconscious on the floor nearby. When I saw what had happened, I thought she did it. That's why I raised all the evidence that linked her to the murder. I had Chief Gant help me remove the body from the sword and carry it. But if it all really was a fabrication, Emma might be innocent. Unbelievable! The body was impaled on the armor's sword! You were the only one who saw that. If only you had proof. I was gonna say, yes, maybe she does. Actually, I have proof. I gave it to Mr. Wright just this morning. What? To me? It's a picture I took of the crime scene as I encountered it. Oh? I thought it might be needed. But I don't remember. Oh, it's in the book. But I don't remember receiving a picture like that. Lana must have known. See, Mr. Wright? She really does have faith in you. Very well, Mr. Wright. Please present this picture. I bet I know where it is. I don't remember receiving any pictures from Lana. Lana said she gave it to you this morning, right? I seem to remember getting something from her then. Let's check that evidence again. There must be a picture in there somewhere. Yeah. Check. I never thought to check in. Oh. I see it. Yep. Oh, I thought it was a different. Okay, I thought it was something else. Hey, there's a picture here. I've been talking for too long. I get this like pain right in here. It's like an ache. Oh my. This is the actual crime scene. No other detective saw the crime scene like this, because I contacted Criminal Affairs only after I had rearranged everything. Lana's picture inserted into the court record. Yeah. Mr. Wright! That piece cut out from his vest! Could that be... The cloth we found inside Chief Gant's safe. Yep. Knew it. What's this? This is a handprint, isn't it? That cloth! It had fingerprints on it. Whosever fingerprints those are must be the real murderer. What? But those fingerprints... They're yours, Emma. Why are your lips turning all purple, Mr. Wright? Anyway, let's get on with the cross-examination. So long as you tell the truth, we should be able to flush out the real murderer. Very well, the defense may now begin its cross-examination. Yeah, I'm nervous. Is it gonna be the... It is. When I arrived, I found... Oh? Before I could even do anything. Hold it. Come on now, Unji. This is the poorest excuse for a trial I've ever seen. Chief Gant! What, now you want to make me out as the bad guy too? If so, I'd like to point out a word or two in my defense. Nah. I'm afraid it's too late for that. What? You already declined to testify. That means you forfeited your right to make statements of any sort. This must be that risk we were talking about earlier. Just sit back, relax, and enjoy the sound of the noose tightening around your own neck. So what? You think I'm worried? Sorry to disappoint you, but I don't need to make any statements. What do you mean? The evidence will do all the talking for me. Even if I can't testify, I can still present evidence. Yes, that is true. Wait, you mean you still have some conclusive evidence? No, I don't, but someone does. Me. I gotta keep it a secret. Someone? So, what's your excuse, Rido? Why have you been keeping quiet about it? You do have something to show us, right? Something that proves who knocked over Neil Marshall, causing his death. Conclusive evidence that leaves no room for doubt. Is this true, Mr. Wright? If I show that piece of evidence now, Emma's sure to be made out as the murderer, and Lana's not gonna say anything. Mr. Wright, if you have any more evidence, present it now. And if you try to conceal... Okay, wait, just save it. Save it before he even finishes talking. Anything. You'll be the one appearing before the Board of Inquiries. What do I do now? I better think this through carefully. I can't afford to make the wrong decision. Should I present that piece of evidence? The one that shows who really killed Prosecutor Marshall? Okay, well, I'll save it again. Show evidence. Yes, Your Honor. I do have further evidence. All right, the time's finally come to show it to them. Those prints have got to be the chief's.
Now then, let's see this conclusive evidence. The evidence that shows who actually murdered Prosecutor Marshall.
Can I present something else instead? Do I just present it? Let's just present it.
It's a piece of leather cloth.
Yes. It most likely was cut from the victim's vest near his chest. What's this? There's a big handprint on it.
Surely it must have been left on the cloth by whoever shoved the victim into the soil. What? Those fingerprints are on this. Whose fingerprints are on this? I'm sure Rhino has checked, haven't you? Well, whose are they?
They're Miss Sky's. Miss Emma Sky's. What? They're mine? So I really did do it.
See, I told you it was conclusive.
It really isn't. But this was found in your safe. That means it's possible you forged it.
I don't know what you're talking about. I don't remember any cloth in my safe. Do you really expect me to believe that?
Oh wait, but give it up, Mr. Wright. It's over. No. The case law, evidence law. I bet it's the evidence law thing. You shouldn't have presented that. By presenting that evidence, you tied Emma Sky to Neil Marshall's death. No.
It appears we have our killer.
No. Is it game over? No! Yeah, I think it's game over. I think it's game over. Everything hinged on that clue. In the end, Lana alone was found guilty on all counts. Guilty. Yeah, I failed. Game over. That's the first time I've had an actual game over. Oops. It actually just drops you to the menu. That's hilarious. Okay. I saved it right before we showed it. Cannot show evidence because of that thing I was just talking about. See, I wanted to object because of something, but actually, no. I wanted to object about the case law thing, but because I guess I accidentally linked it to the case, which made it able to be used as evidence. If I don't link to the case, then I can feign ignorance, and I'll be following case law. Your Honor, I don't have any evidence I can present at this point in time.
What? You lie! Chief Gant! You opened my safe. I know you took what was inside. The conclusive evidence.
So he admits it was in his safe? I don't know what you're talking about. Mr. Wright, why won't you show it? Show them. We found it together.
Oh, I see. It's because you know the truth, don't you? You know whose fingerprints are on it. That's why you won't present it.
What are you talking about, Chief Gant?
Can't you figure it out? Take a good look at this picture. See the victim's vest? Notice anything odd about the chest area? It looks like part of it's been cut off for some reason.
You mean you had this in your safe?
What? That means you, Chief of Police, have been concealing evidence. This is going to be the biggest scandal in the history of the police department.
He convicted himself. This is
impressive. To be honest, I didn't think you had the gall, Rhino.
Yeah, I fucked it up. Actually, honestly, I did fuck it up, but yeah. Anyway,
well, I can't just let you pin me up as the murderer. I'll tell you what really happened. What? Do you mean you admit to it?
This case is such a mess.
I was the first person to arrive at the crime scene that day. It then occurred to me that I could use the situation to control Lana.
So you really were manipulating her?
I knew Lana. If I made it look like the blame lay with her sister, that when she saw the scene, she would ask for my aid.
So you assisted Miss Sky?
I told her to arrange all the evidence. I had her plant the knife tip on the victim's body and move the body across the room.
And I ended up using that evidence to get Joe Dark convicted.
When I tampered with this crime scene, I hid 2 pieces of evidence. This was before Lana arrived at the scene, mind you.
2 pieces of evidence? You mean those items in your safe?
But why? For instance, of course. For insurance, of course, sorry.
Insurance? To make sure Lana would do what she said.
I was sure my plan would work, but it's always best to be prepared for the worst. I wasn't about to let anyone blame me for a murder that girl committed.
You mean you were calculating that far ahead while forging the evidence?
What do you take me for, a fool? I didn't make the police chief by dumb luck. See this jar fragment? I hid the most legible part of Emma's name. I didn't expect Lana to go and wipe the blood off all the pieces.
But if you fabricated all the evidence, what's to say you didn't fabricate the message on this jar too?
Ho ho ho! Some people just don't know when to quit, do they? That's why I kept one more item for insurance.
You mean that piece of cloth?
Come on, Rido, cough it up already. I know you have it.
What are you waiting for, Mr. Wright? So you admit it. So you admit to it then, Chief Gant, that you were hiding the cloth you cut off the victim's vest in your safe.
Yes, I admit it. I didn't want to have to do that, being chief and all. But it's a lot better than being portrayed as a murderer.
Why would he be portrayed as a murderer in that case?
Well, Mr. Wright, what do you have to say for yourself?
I'm gonna save it again, because I might fuck it up again.
Just a moment ago, you said you didn't have any evidence you could present. Foolish move, Rido. You should have shown it then, before it was too late.
It's been a long battle. But the moment of truth has finally arrived. As long as I don't mess up here, victory is mine. Do I just say I can't show it again? I'm gonna stumble into every wrong answer, by the way. No, it's too late to show the evidence now. Besides, even if I did, it just exposed that poor girl's fingerprints. Right, think hard over the circumstances. The circumstances? I'm talking about then and now. There's one major difference between the two. Weren't you waiting for that difference? So Edgeworth figured out my plan. Damn it, okay, I should have just... See, I knew I was gonna fall into every pit right here. Mr. Wright, this is your only chance. Your Honor, I do have evidence to present now.
Alright then, let's see this conclusive evidence. The evidence that shows who actually murdered Prosecutor Marshall.
Ugh. This is gonna be... I'm gonna get... Oh, whatever. I don't know exactly how this is playing out, but the fact that it penalized me the first time for even trying it seems kind of silly to me, because it feels like before we even did that, he had already proved to some degree that he had forged... I don't know. Whatever. Let me verify this once more. On the day of the crime, you personally cut this piece of the victim's chest. No, the victim's vest. I keep saying chest.
Oh yes, at last you finally brought it out into the open. There's a handprint on this piece of cloth.
Your Honor, the prosecution requests that be immediately sent to the lab for analysis. This handprint on the leather. There must have been a strong impact for it to be left so clearly.
You mean...
It could not have been forged. It must be authentic, conclusive evidence.
Ho ho ho! You're as slow on the uptake as ever, Worthy.
What?
Think about it. Rido had all this time to present this evidence. Yet he was reluctant to do so. Why would that be?
You mean you already knew? No. You know whose fingerprints are on that. Mr. Wright, do you really know?
Whoever the fingerprints belong to must be the real murderer. Whose fingerprints are they?
Very well. I'll tell you. It should be okay now. Everything's proceeding as predicted. The person to whom these fingerprints belong to is... mean, it's Emma. What am I missing? I'm missing something here.
Emma Sky?
What? They're mine? I'm sorry, Emma. But why? Why didn't you tell me?
Ho 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 ho! You're really something, Rhino. I knew this girl did it all along. And you still tried to pin the murder on me. So it's true, tragic but true. This girl really did shove Prosecutor Marshall to his death.
But why is it playing out differently? It's the same. It's the same effect. Presenting it either way. How could you? You monster!
Miss Sky!
You knew whose fingerprints those were all along, yet you acted like she really didn't. Yeah, but the whole point was that this doesn't prove that she's... Miss Sky, it's not over yet. What? I said this trial isn't over yet.
Ha! But I'm afraid it is over, boy. Not only this trial, but your career, too. You purposefully concealed this conclusive evidence. That, my friend, is a serious offense. I'm looking forward to pressing charges after the defendant is convicted. I'll have your badge, boy. What's the matter? Cat got your tongue? Aren't you gonna tell us how it feels? How it feels to be the one who single-handedly turned a poor little girl into a murderer?
That would be you, Gant. Before I do that, there's just one little thing I have to clear up.
Oh, and what's that?
Who really killed Prosecutor Neil Marshall?
What?
Chief Gant, you were absolutely right. This piece of cloth proves who the real murderer is. Who killed Neil Marshall, you ask?
It was Emma Sky, wasn't it?
No. I'm afraid that's not possible. You see, this piece of cloth contains a critical contradiction.
What? A contradiction?
See, why did this happen when I first presented it? I don't understand.
What is this fool babbling about?
I'm talking about a contradiction. One that proves who the real killer is.
Mr. Wright, this piece of cloth. What could it possibly contradict?
Chief Gant, your tyrannical reign ends here. Tyrannical. Behold, the piece of evidence that contradicts this cloth. The blood. There's no blood on that cloth. Yes. Yes. That's right.
And what exactly is this supposed to be?
This is the picture Miss Sky took. Take a good look at it. See where the piece of this vest was cut out?
Yes, his shirt is showing underneath. It's hard to make out with all the blood on this vest, though.
The judge is so fucking clueless sometimes. Exactly my point. His chest is soaked with blood. That's only natural. His lungs no doubt were punctured. Blood poured out of his mouth.
Oh, but that piece of cloth
has no blood on it at all.
Wait, there's no blood on it.
Ah! Sorry, I picked the mic again. Ah! Since Emma Sky's fingerprints are on this cloth, there's no doubt that she shoved the prosecutor aside. However, Mr. Marshall was not impaled on the sword at that time.
No, that is nonsense. This is nonsense.
Now then, Chief Gant, let me ask you something. Why didn't it go down the same path that I first did it? It should have mattered which time I showed it. Prosecutor Marshall was not impaled when he was shoved aside. It was probably just the fact that... Probably just to do with the fact that getting him to admit that he cut it. Prosecutor Marshall was not impaled when he was shoved aside. He most likely hit his head on the ground and was knocked out. If so, then tell me, who could it have been? Who could have arrived at the scene before Miss Lana Sky, picked up the unconscious prosecutor, and impaled him on the armor's sword? Then, to make it look like Emma was responsible for the prosecutor's death, said person proceeded to write her name in the jar with a victim's blood. A jar that then broke on They then broke on purpose to leave behind a clue and make Lana believe her sister did it. Remember what you admitted only moments ago? That you personally cut out this bloodless piece of the victim's chest? Ironic, isn't it? Though the very act of creating insurance, you prove that you were the actual murderer. No! It's finally all over. Oh, objection.
Objection! Objection! That was close, Rido. You almost had me. Sorry, but you'll have to do better than that. I refute your allegations. What do you mean you refute his allegations? You see, that piece of cloth is illegal evidence.
Oh, but no, this is why we have the case lore thing.
Order, order! What nonsense is this? Illegal evidence cannot be used to convict a suspect. Remember, Aji? Earlier, old Rido here concealed that piece of cloth. So then, what's your excuse, Rido? You do have some conclusive evidence, don't you?
Your Honor, I don't have any evidence I can present at this point in time. Ah, but I didn't say I didn't conceal it. I just said I couldn't present it at that point in time. Then I did. I stupidly did.
Well, that's true. The defense did refuse to present evidence. At that moment, that piece of cloth ceased to be legal evidence.
But that's not fair.
Ho 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 ho! Did you actually think you could best me in court? It looks like the last laugh's on you, son. I'm afraid Mr. Gunn's claim is legally correct. Well, Mr. Edgeworth?
True. Illegal evidence cannot be used to convict a person. Assuming, of course, that the evidence is indeed illegal.
Well, Mr. Wright.
I bet this involves, it seems at last. The time for me to reveal my plan has finally arrived. It's to do with case law. It's to do with evidence law.
Mr. Wright, do you admit it?
To save it? I should have saved it in a different slot, but my bad.
Had you purposely and illegally concealed this piece of cloth?
I did not. I admit, I refused to present it at one point.
Haha! So the evidence is illegal.
Objection. He was like, no, it's not illegal. He did the same thing at the start of this case. No, it isn't, Mr. Gant.
Huh?
It's not that I didn't present it. It's not that I didn't present evidence then. It's that I couldn't.
What do you mean you couldn't? You couldn't.
There are certain procedures involved when presenting evidence.
No, Aji, don't listen to his lies. He's nothing but a coward. You can't really believe.
There's only one issue left to be resolved in this trial. Is this evidence legal or not?
Very well, let us settle this once and for all. Early, you refuse to present evidence. If you can prove your conduct was not in violation of the law, then do so now.
We got sent this. Evidence law. This is my proof, Your Honor. Evidence law.
What's this?
I've done my homework too, Chief. Indeed, Emma Sky's fingerprints were on this piece of cloth. However, at that point in time, this was merely a piece of cloth and nothing more.
What?
You see, it's written right here in this book. The second rule of evidence law. Oh, brilliant. Rule 1, no evidence shall be shown without the approval of the police department. I found this piece of evidence myself, inside your safe. It goes without saying it did not have approval from the police department. Rule number 2, unregistered evidence presented must be relevant to the case on trial. And here is the crux of the matter. You see, at the time, it was impossible for me to prove the relevance between the cloth and the SL9 incident.
What? What kind of nonsense is this? You want relevancy? Just take one look at this picture and...
Ah, but that's not the case on trial. Ah, sorry, but can you recall? When was that picture presented?
That was shown only a few moments ago.
No. He's right. At the beginning of today's trial, that piece of cloth was still meaningless. The person who gave it value as evidence was you, Damon Gant. You yourself confessed to a certain truth. Let me verify this once more. On the day of the crime, you personally cut out this piece of the victim's vest.
Oh yes.
No! It was then that you approved this cloth as conclusive evidence. Yes, you, the chief of police, personally approved this cloth. The only person who could have cut this from the victim's vest is the one who stood before Prosecutor Marshall in his final moments. In other words, the real murderer, and there's only one person who that can be. Damon Gant. The killer was you. Hmm? Okay, this is scary.
I knew I should have gotten rid of him. That good-for-nothing scum. For 2 years he's been snooping around the department trying to get something on me. Crimes are being committed every day, yet he insisted on hounding me.
Well, your crime wasn't exactly petty.
He wanted to reinvestigate the case. He recruited Angel Starr and then convinced Bruce Goodman.
Detective Goodman. Or Detective Goodman.
Yeah, that's right.
If the evidence is transferred.
If the evidence is transferred, I'll lose my only chance to find out the truth. Please, you've gotta help me. Goodman turned him down, as he ought to. Still, Jake Marshall didn't know when to quit.
He stole Goodman's ID card and tried to take the evidence.
Goodman came to me that day. He wanted to file a lost item report. I went with him to the evidence room. Then all of a sudden he decided to speak out.
Ah.
What are you talking about, Goodman?
Can you please reopen the investigation, Chief? We can't transfer the evidence out. There are too many questions left unanswered.
He opened his evidence locker, and as he was taking the evidence out, he said,
"It's not too late. I'm gonna hand all this over to Marshall."
Well, to be honest, I was a bit taken aback by his words. I had a bad feeling when he came to see me, but I never thought he'd bring up SL9. That's when I saw it, that accursed knife.
So he just went ahead and stabbed him with it.
I couldn't just pull it out.
Doing so would have only led to more blood, making it near impossible to hide your crime.
Even so, the blood was just pouring out. I didn't know who might stumble in, so I hurried it to wipe it up. I was worrying so much about the floor, I didn't realize my fatal mistake.
The bloody handprint on Detective Gumshoe's locker.
I used to be known as the crime computer. But everyone has to start somewhere, I guess. I was too nervous. I had no business doing any of it.
Then you put the body in my car.
I'm sorry. I couldn't think of any other way to move the body. I broke your trunk. But what's the big deal? You make a lot more than us detectives ever will.
Leaving the prosecution's car aside. How? How could you get Miss Skye involved in all this?
Well, she has as much to lose as I did if the truth came out.
So you took the evidence from Detective Goodman's locker.
I felt bad for having to do it. I also didn't have the time to pick and choose what to take.
So... you left the jar fragments in the glove.
Yeah. Looks like I was better off being an investigator of crimes than a committer. They all did their best to get in my way. I've got to hand it to them. They do their jobs well, much to my dismay.
Fake evidence doesn't hold up very well upon close examination. You must have known that.
Tell me, Worthy. Why do you stand in court?
Me?
You despise criminals. I can feel it. You and me. We're the same.
No, they're not.
One day you'll understand. Oh, believe me, you will. You're just one man. You'll see what it really takes to bring them down once you try go it alone.
Alright.
Well, looks like it's time to say goodbye. Oh, Urgy? What? Looks like we'll have to cancel that lunch date. Sorry, old friend. I'm sorry too, David Gant. I knew you as you used to be, long ago. You were once a fine investigator, and an example to others on the force. I'm sorry to learn that you are no longer that person. Those days are gone now, Archie. Thanks for all the memories, though. Don't worry, you'll be fine. Now you have Rido here. And Worthy. With these two around, you can't go wrong. In fact, I can hear them already. The melodious sounds of a new beginning.
Well then. After all that, there are two things I want you to understand. Yes. First, your sister never hurt anyone. Second, Damon Gant betrayed you from the beginning. You see, Miss Sky, you no longer have any reason to keep silent. You're right. When this trial is over, I'll tell everything. All that I've done these past 2 years, from the time I had Gant help me forge evidence, up until today.
So, it seems all the questions raised in this trial have been answered.
I'm sorry, Miss Sky. I couldn't get you out of all your trouble. My, what high standards you have for a rookie. I can see why Mia thought so highly of you. Who knows? A few years from now, you just might make it to the top. Aww. She actually looks happier now. I owe you my thanks, Mr. Wright. Miss Sky. And to you too, Mr. Edgeworth. You've suffered every bit as much as I have over these past few days. Believe me, I know how much of an ordeal it's been for you. It was nothing.
Liar.
I was worried the pressure might break you. And yet, you rose above it all and guided Mr. Wright to victory. You've done well, Mr. Edgeworth. Stop it. I only did my job.
In light of this case, it seems a good self-examining is in order for us all. Miss Sky.
Yes, Your Honor.
You are innocent of murder. However, although the chief blackmailed you, the fact is you still acted as an accomplice. A trial will be scheduled for these crimes at a later date.
Yes, I understand, Your Honor.
Is there something amusing about all of this? Why are you smiling?
It's been a long time, Your Honor. A long time since I've felt free of those heavy chains.
Yeah. Well, this trial has gone on far too long already. Regarding the charge of murder, this court finds the defendant, Miss Lana Sky, not guilty.
Yay! After so long, after so much. It's finally happened.
That is all. The court is adjourned.
February 25th, 5 p.m. District Court, Defendant Lobby number 2. At long last, it's finally over. Oh? Emma? Why the long face? I'm sorry your sister didn't get completely off the hook. But at least she wasn't convicted for a murder she didn't commit. No, that's not it. Just now, after the trial ended. I can see why Mia Faye thought so highly of you. I owe you my thanks, Mr. Wright. And to you, Mr. Edgeworth. You've suffered as very much as I have. You've done well. What, you didn't thank Emma? You know, I did my best too. But Lana didn't say a single word to me.
I hope I'm not interrupting anything, pals.
He keeps interrupting. Oh dear.
Oh, yes I am. I'll come back later.
He keeps doing that. Wait, Detective Gumshoe, what is it?
You're doing this on purpose, aren't you? Making a detective run all around while on duty. And to top it all off, you call me here. I've seen heavier people at a funeral. Why? It's like hardcore deja vu. Hey, lighten up, pals. I'm only kidding.
Okay. Like hardcore deja vu. Oh, are you here because of my sister again?
Nope, not this time. I came today because of you, pal.
Me?
That's right. I thought you'd like to see someone.
Lana!
Should you be doing this?
She's still under arrest, you know.
Well, I won't tell if you won't.
Emma, I owe you an apology. It's okay, sis. Don't worry about it. That day, 2 years ago, was the first time in my life I ever panicked. It was all I could do to keep myself from screaming. All I could think about was keeping you from getting wrapped up in this mess. Sis, I asked Gant to help cover up the truth. I thought I was doing it for your sake. But now I realize I was wrong. I changed after that day. I had to. It was the only way I could make it through the past 2 years. I knew how much I was hurting you by distancing myself, but I couldn't bring myself to tell you what I did. I was scared. Scared that you'd look at me with those eyes of yours. I was scared of how you'd react if you knew. But sis, you were only doing it for me. No. Huh? I turned my back on you that day. In hiding what I believed to be the truth, I was deceiving you. Sis. I'm such a fool. It took me all this time to realize it. Emma, I'm so sorry. But sis, you don't have to apologize. I'm happy now. You're happy? Of course. You know, sis, I always knew that one day you'd come back. And now you have.
Yeah, that smile.
Aww. Oh, Emma.
Yeah. No one can change the past. The only thing that we can do is strive to make it up for our mistakes. Make up from our mistakes. Why must we make up for our mistakes, you ask? Because in doing so, we can find the way back to our rightful path. And it's from there that we can move on towards a brighter future. At least that's what I felt watching the two sisters make up.
Mr. Wright, Mr. Gumshoe.
Me?
Thank you both for all that you've done. I'm sure we'll meet again someday. Isn't that right, Edgeworth?
Edgeworth?
Stop hiding and come over here. Stop hiding and come over here.
He was hiding around the corner. Where was he hiding?
I just came to say, congratulations. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Edgeworth. Right, well, I'll be going now. Ooh. Mr. Edgeworth, I hope you don't blame yourself for what happened. We were the ones who acted corruptly, not you.
Aw, yeah.
It's too late for me. No matter what anyone may say, I realized today that I can't correct my mistakes. Mr. Edgeworth! Not only that, but I don't even trust myself anymore. Chief Gant was right.
You despise criminals, I can feel it. You and me, we're the same. One day you'll understand. Oh, believe me, you will. Just one man. You'll see what it really takes to bring them down once you try to go it alone.
I do despise criminals. I plan to dedicate my entire life to fighting them. But in order to fight crime on my own, I need a weapon. It's scary, but I've known that to be true for quite some time now.
But Edgeworth?
Who knows? Given enough time, I might have tried to pull something like Chief Gant did. That thought terrifies me, that's why I can't continue on as a prosecutor. Edgeworth! Don't you understand? Damon Gant and your mentor, Manfred von Karma, were both the best of the best when it came to fighting crime. But they both made the same mistake. You said, in order to fight crime on my own, I'd need a weapon. That may be true, but think back to today's trial. You weren't alone. Yeah. I was gonna say it's us. Me? You were working together with Mr. Wright. And because of that partnership, you were able to present evidence that otherwise would have gone undiscovered. Isn't that right, Mr. Wright? Yeah. Huh? What? Oh, yeah. What is this, a pop quiz? Come on, Mr. Wright. Show him what Lana's talking about. Evidence, huh? Something that neither Edgeworth nor I would have been able to find on our own. Shit, I haven't saved it. I had no idea what to put, so I looked it up. I refused to get this wrong. Apparently it's the evidence list, because you bring the two pieces of evidence together. You and Edgeworth put your evidences together and make this. I don't think I would have got that if I hadn't looked it up. That's the picture I drew. Our counterattack began with this. You had one half of the evidence list, and I had the other half. Apart, we wouldn't have been able to completely restore Emma's picture. That didn't just happen by chance, Mr. Edgeworth. It's time for me to go. Mr. Edgeworth, if you'll excuse me, there's still some loose ends that need wrapping up. Take care, Chief Prosecutor. Edgeworth, what will you do now? Well, whatever you do, just remember, you can let what happened kill the prosecutor in you, or you can let it help you grow. In the end, it's up to you. I know, it seems I owe you my thanks too, Mr. Wright. But what I face now is my problem. Edgeworth, I'll be waiting for you in court. Farewell. I'd better be going too. Okay, but I'll be by to visit soon. It seems we both have a lot of learning and catching up to do. Here, scientific investigation. There's a little something for you. Scientific investigation? It's the first book I ever bought. Study it well. Thanks, sis. I will. Yeah. And so another case came to a close. As for the sisters, I have faith. Yeah. Faith that their lives have only just begun. And as for me, I think it's time I started on a new journey of my own. A journey to rediscover myself. Well, don't go trekking off just yet, pal. Huh? What is it, detective? What is it, detective? There's just a little matter to be resolved about the chief prosecutor. You see, she isn't supposed to be out of jail like this. But I thought you said it was okay. Yeah, well, it may be okay with me, but the folks at the prison are a different story. Huh? Basically, I had to bribe a guard in order to sneak her out for 30 minutes. Believe me, it wasn't cheap either. Huh? Way to go, detective. I didn't know you had a wild side. Yeah, well, you see, Mr. Wright here is the one who will be footing the bill. Huh? What? What, do you think I could afford that with my salary? You gotta be kidding me, pal. Huh? Huh? Thank you, Mr. Wright, you're the best! Why is it? I suddenly feel like I want to scream. Hey, I got an idea. Why don't we all go pay it off together? Yeah, that's a great idea. Come on, guys. Let's go. Objection! Well, that's it. That's the final case. The one final case they added to the end of Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney. I arranged for a friend of mine in Europe to take care of Emma. I hope she'll be pleased to study under a top coroner. As for me, this affair has pretty much ended my days at the prosecutor's office. Still, I'll manage to find my way back to the field somehow. Then, I'll be able to investigate crimes together with Emma. Aww, yeah. Yeah. Yes, I'm assuming these credits are gonna work a bit similar to, how the... it's gonna work similarly to how the original game's credits were. Yikes! I thought I was a goner for a moment there. In the end, though, they overlooked my unauthorized investigation of the chief's office. Of course they did. If we penalized you anymore, it'd be worse than firing you. Yep, that's what they said. It just goes to show, you can't shake me off that easily. Yeah. I was assuming that at the end he'd get his job back. Because I'm assuming he's gonna be the detective in the later games. We will eventually play the later games at some point, but my new mission is to guard the main entrance and take care of Billy. Can you believe it? I've been demoted to a security guard, sir. Sir, my partner is keeping an eye on the entrance for me today. I'll show them, though. Someday I'm gonna make detective. Yes, sir. Then I can be just like that Dick Gumshoe. Aww. He looks up to Gumshoe. Well, we only ended up using the luminol spray a couple of times, and the fingerprint dusting powder a couple of times. We only really used it a couple of times throughout the game. Yeah. At least it's not playing the music. It's way less creepy when it's not playing the music. Oh. Well then. Yeah. Fumiaki Sato. Sorry, I'm just like completely phasing out. What is it? Can't you see I'm having me a shakedown with a steak lunch, partner? Miss Dawn managed to sneak this in. She's she's bribing one of the guards. Well, cowboy, it looks like, oh, even gave Bambina back her smile. Can you make sure Billy and the gang get their water? Doesn't trust Meekins to water Billy. Looks like we won't be seeing each other for a while. As a farewell gift, I put a new meal on the menu. The right way lunch. The top layer tastes a bit bitter as defeat, but the bottom is sweet as victory. Kids seem to dig the turnabout theme. It's a hot seller around the exam time. So make sure not to eat it backwards. Yeah, because we keep the turnabout thing. I was gonna mention that. Every case, all 4 of the original episodes have the word turnabout in them somewhere. Meaning, like, flipping the tables, turning things around. But for some reason this last case doesn't have it. I'll never forget what that young defense lawyer said after the trial. Let's see what was his name again? Mr. Left? Anyway, he's been seen doing something or rather for how many years? Well, anyway, I've got another trial to get to, so I'd better be... Huh? Oh no, I forgot my gavel. Sorry, gotta go. He's so, like, confused and lost. What the hell? He didn't actually even say anything, really. Yeah, the whole turnabout thing. The whole point of it is that, you know, it's like we take unwinnable cases and make and win them, basically. Ah, nothing soothes the soul like fresh country air. Still, sometimes I do miss hearing you and your objection. Still, I can't go back until I'm a full-fledged spirit medium. Mystic Meyer, afternoon. Mr. Meyer, afternoon training's about to begin. Coming! Well, see you around, Nick. Oh, I miss Maya so much. I liked her as my sidekick. Yeah. Yeah, I would say this is a final case as a way different, like, mood than the original final case. It's a good addition. Like, it's a really powerful case. It has a lot of very confusing, a lot of intrigue, and there's a lot of it. It was longer than any of the previous cases. But in terms of the mood for the final thing, ah, Mr. Edgeworth, I brought you your tea. What's going on? Oh, it's a letter. But that's not his resignation letter, is it? What the hell is I gonna say? Yeah, but in terms of mood, like, the final case of the original game really felt like a finale. Thanks for coming to see me off. I can't believe I'm going to Europe. Thank you, Mr. Wright. Thank you so much for everything. Oh, I'm a little sad, but I'll be alright. Whenever I want to see Lana, all I have to do is open this book. Did Lana put a photo of them in there? I bet that she did. Yeah. The envelope. Yep. Oh, it's them as like when they were young. Yeah. When Lana was still just a detective. Yeah. That's it. Rise from the Ashes achievement. Yep. That's it. That was the final case. Yeah. So, hopefully these episodes aren't too long because they've all the recordings today. I think I've been recording for like 5 hours today. Because it's just I played episode after episode after episode. I just needed to finish the game, you know. Well, yeah. So the next one would be Phoenix Wright Justice. I'll probably call it Justice for All. I'll just call it Justice for All because the first game is Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney. So I'll just call this one Justice for All, and this one Trials and Tribulations. Yeah, eventually I'll get around to playing those, but I need to leave it. I need to give this a bit of a break, because we need to move on to some other games. The other games that I was talking about will actually probably already turned up by the time this episode goes out. So I hope you've been enjoying Resident Evil 8 and Subnautica Below Zero. I know things have been a bit chaotic on the channel recently, but I hope you guys have been enjoying the stuff. I hope you guys have had a great time with Phoenix Wright. I know I have. I didn't expect to love Phoenix Wright as much as I do. That original cast, especially. The whole, you know, like... Phoenix Wright, Maya, Mia, Gumshoe, Wendy, like, the Judge, Edgeworth, you know, that the whole original crew have like real places in my heart. Now they're like, I do consider this one of my favorite games I've ever played. Just for the narrative, the story, the characters. Yeah, I love it. The feeling you get when you're solving the case in the courtrooms and stuff like that, and in the regular investigations as well. The courtrooms are just the culmination of all of it. Yeah, that just feels so amazing. It's such a great game, and I saw the Western localization version of one of the latest Phoenix Wright games. Is coming out it's coming out soon, sorry. So I thought, what I'll try and do is I'll try and play the original trilogy, and then I'll see about playing the latest game that's coming out. I know there's a bunch of games in the series, but I just wouldn't have time to get through all of them unless, you know, if I wanted to jump into that game, I wouldn't be able to play all of them. But the good thing about that game that's like just coming out soon, for Western audiences, is that it's a prequel. It's an it's set in like an old time location. So I'm really interested to see what that's like. I have a feeling it won't directly link back to Phoenix Wright much. And that's probably for a good that's a good thing for a prequel, so that I can actually play it without having to play all the previous games. But yeah, there's like spin-offs there's a spin-off for Edgeworth. There's the original trilogy here, and then there's like a further trilogy of Phoenix Wright games. And then there's an Edgeworth spin-off. There's like a crossover game with Phoenix Wright and that other detective guy. What's his name? Editing Rory will put it on the screen. And then there's this like game set in the past. Yeah, there's all sorts of Phoenix Wright stuff. And so yeah, let me know what you would like to see. I'm definitely planning to do the original trilogy, all 3 original trilogy games, but for now, we're gonna leave this here. If you like what you saw, hit like. If you want to see more from me, then subscribe. If you're interested, go in the description and check out the links. Thank you guys so much for joining me for Phoenix Wright. And until the next whatever I happen to play.